Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Thank you.
If I might, whoever has the microphone has the stand, so I would like to keep comments, and if you have something to say, you can say it afterwards at the microphone. Understood? Thank you.
Hello. My name is Amy Hansen. I have 2 students at Winnaconnet, and I have one who just graduated last year. Remote learning was very, very difficult, and we had a very hard time mental health-wise. And as we know, New Hampshire isn't very strategically built right now for mental health. So I totally am 100% in returning to school. That being said, I have autoimmune disease, and I can't always work on my immune system as healthy people would like to say. I wish I could, but I have autoimmune disease. So I like to wear a mask when I go out, and trust me, no one's more disappointed than I am. I am vaccinated. I wish I didn't have to, but because of breakthrough cases, I have to. So anyway, now that Seabrook has decided not to wear masks, I have a concern that those students who have older siblings are going to be coming to Winnaconnet, and then that increases our risk as well. My children are very active. It was very hard to watch my son play basketball last year wearing a mask, but he was willing to do it because he wanted to play basketball, and they did fine. I watched the school musical, in which they also performed wearing masks, and after a little while, you didn't see them anymore, and they still performed really well. I wish we could get rid of them. I wish we could. I wish we could just pretend it all away, but we can't. We can look up all the stats we want, but all you have to do is visit a hospital or talk to someone who's died, and I know people who have died of COVID-19, and then, a mask doesn't seem like such a big deal. One of my children had a bone marrow transplant, and I was in Children's Hospital for about 6 months every day. And if you want to talk about suffering, I can tell you a lot about suffering. One thing he'll do is wear a mask. He had to be on isolation. He had to wear a mask. They may not prevent everything. They're not perfect. Not everybody wears them right. A lot of people wear them like this, or they don't wear them at all. Because you don't have complete compliance, which I know you guys hate that word, compliance, the virus will continue to spread. And we're just going to have to learn to live with it. But one way to protect ourselves and our vulnerable ones is to wear masks. My frustration earlier was only that we should be able to talk about this together. We should be able to have conversations without getting angry or calling each other names or insults as we leave the room. We should be able to talk about it because it's hard. And the most important thing to all of us is our children. I don't even know if you guys have children in this school, but I do. And they're very precious to me. And I hope you uphold the mask mandate while we're in the red zone. If we go down to yellow or green, then I agree with the optional choice as well. But as a parent that spoke to also many other people, we would prefer that you leave the mask mandate intact while we're in the red zone so that we can protect. Maybe children haven't died of COVID, but other people in Hampton have died of COVID. And I'd love the opportunity to be able to protect them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
So I wasn't planning to speak, and I get really nervous in front of people. So first, I just want to say that.
I'm sorry, can you just, for the record, put your name
Oh,
and the
I'm
town
so.
you're from?
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank
Linda McGrath from Hampton. Is that what God tells us in the Bible more than anything else is fear not. And I think that what I heard from this woman was so powerful. She doesn't want her children to live in fear. I'm a pharmacist, and for years I've been waiting for the big pandemic to hit. Was it going to be the swine flu or the bird flu is going to devastate us? This isn't the one that I thought it was going to be. This is a bad flu. It kills people. It's tragic. There's lots of tragic stories, I understand. In history, we have always quarantined the vulnerable people, not the healthy people. But there's posters from 1920 epidemic that says, get fresh air, wash your hands, keep distance, the common sense things that we should all be doing. I don't have kids in the school. I have grandkids that aren't in school yet. You know, there's so many issues in the world that we could spend our time working and fighting to make better. I can't say this was really my issue, but I said from the beginning when the pandemic hit, we are all going to get it eventually. That's how viruses work. And then we get herd immunity, and then it goes away. That's the history of viruses. We do the best to make sure that we stay healthy, that we don't spread it, and that we protect the vulnerable. But to make our children live in fear, they already have to worry about the world ending in 12 years. And there's just so many things that we've piled on them to worry about. Let's just let them be kids and take the precautions. And the other thing that I want to say is, and I'm so non-confrontational, but there's so much hypocrisy surrounding this virus. You got Obama having the big party. You guys sharing food, which I think was awesome. I have lists at home of the celebrities and the politicians that say do this, and then they do whatever they want. And yet we're telling our kids, we're just squashing them under these rules. It's just so hypocritical. And I think that's it. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hello. My name is Elaine Edwards, and I'm from Northampton. And I would like to address one of the thresholds which you brought up, Ms. Nadeau, that is being used to determine whether our schools are mandating masks or recommending them. And I have like a huge issue with them in terms of the numbers that are being used. They're too low. And we shouldn't be using that as a metric. And I would like to recommend and request that we review that. And I realize it's, you know, New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, and it's the CDC, but as a community with what the levels that we have here, we really need to be looking at that, because that's going to affect, and she even agreed, this lady here, this nice lady here said, you know, if it goes into green or yellow, she'd be willing to, you know, go maskless, which is doesn't make sense to me, but if you're worried. But anyway, I'll get back to the issue. According to the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, indicators and thresholds for community transmission of COVID-19, which SAU 21 school will align with, the indicators of mask and non-mask wearing is determined by new cases over the last 14 days per 100,000 population. They are green, yellow, and red, which you mentioned. At the green and yellow levels, masks are only recommended. In the red level, masks are required. And as you also mentioned, New Hampshire is fully in the red at this point, the entire state. I request that we change these metrics, as they essentially put us in a zero COVID community tolerance policy, as you will see, and we will always be in the red level because the cutoff case rate level is so small and so low. The benchmark needs to be raised much higher. The green level is less than 50 cases per 100,000 residents. So, and you should all see this, it's right in your own documents. It's on, I don't know what page it is, you probably can tell them. Which if you divide 50 by 100,000, you get a case rate. Now this is the positivity case rate of COVID, 0.0005. It's minuscule, okay? And that's, you know, that's a green level. In Rockingham County, with a population of approximately 309,000, that would mean we would take the 0.0005 multiplied times the population, which would give us a total cases in the green zone, 155 cases over a period of 2 weeks. It's not per day. I mean, if it was per day, maybe that would make sense, possibly. I'd have to look at that. But over a period of 2 entire weeks, 155 cases in a community that has 300,000 people. So I'd hope you'd agree with me that this is negligible, particularly when our own data for New Hampshire shows that no children 0 to 18, and it's right on the website if you want to see it, has died in the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services in New Hampshire, and the case fatality rate in New Hampshire from the start of the pandemic is only 1.3%, and that's very sad that people have died. But unlike what this lady didn't mention, the nurse who called me fat, she told me I had a comorbidity, so she basically diagnosed me in this meeting. 80%, and I think it's even higher, this is an old number because I haven't looked it up, 80% of the people who died with COVID have had 2.5 comorbidities. So, you know, it got pushed sooner probably, but they were going to die in those. And also just know, she's a palliative care nurse as well. So she sees dead people all the time, people dying all the time. So she's seeing that side of the story. Let's getting back to the levels. The yellow level is less than 99 cases per 100,000, which would be 0.00099%, or 307 cases over a period of 2 weeks. So that's the level and you don't have to wear a mask. So this is also a minuscule amount. The red level, oh my gosh, and we're all in it right now, where masks are mandated, is 100 cases per 100,000 residents, which translates to a case rate of 0.001. This level translate. Now, okay, so now let's just say we start, which I recommend. I'm strongly recommending we start this year off with a recommendation and a strong recommendation for masks, but not making it mandatory. And we go back, we raise these levels, and then we make it mandatory when the case rate is actually substantial. But if you, let's just say we started out and it was green and yellow, we start out at that level, it would only take 300 cases in our entire community of 300,000 people to make us all wear masks again. Okay? That's nonsense. These numbers are so ridiculous. So essentially, you're putting us in a zero COVID policy, and since COVID isn't going away, our children are going to be in masks forever. You're essentially enslaving all of us. Now, some people don't mind the enslavement, but we don't want to be enslaved. Okay, this is pure enslavement. They'll never get to take them off at school ever again. And if you don't open your eyes now, you're never going to be awake. And I feel sorry for you, okay? And I feel sorry for me because you're affecting me and my family, okay? COVID is here to stay. It's not going away, and we have to live with it, just like some of these other people said. Why would we let this dictate our lives, and especially those of our children? Let's take precautions like you've done with the air handlings and the sanitizing and all that. But let's not let this divide us, which it is dividing us, because people who are fearful want to control me, who is not afraid, okay? Keep us in fear and ruin our communities and our lives. Let's be reasonable. Why not start off strong? I formally request, now I don't know how this works, okay, but I formally request that the board and the community change these thresholds to more reasonable, livable levels, and that we keep the mask requirements as strongly recommended only, and institute mask requirement when there is truly substantial community spread. Now we'd have to come up with a new metric if we were to be reasonable, okay, and not just go with the CDC, which is corrupt, and I don't know about DHSS, but they just took what the CDC said, so they're corrupt too, essentially. Strongly, and then we keep the mask requirement strong and institute mask when they're substantial. Families should make their own health decisions based on the level of risk they can tolerate. We shouldn't live in fear, and those that are should not be dictating what we do, what other people do. Let our children breathe, as the other lady said. Change the thresholds to reflect common sense as well as values of those in our community who respects everyone's right to choose what is right for themselves and their family. And that's basically the Constitution, okay? So we should be respecting the Constitution, give people their rights and their freedom, and not have to be forced to wear a face diaper. Thank you for listening, and I hope that enlightened you a little bit, and you look at that. So I'd like the answer during whatever you have that time. How can we go about making a formal request to change that metric? And also want to know, are you forced to use that metric because you're accepting federal funding? Okay? Thank you very much. And I also want to know one thing. I don't want to be picking on people, but it's hurtful when I see things. The people who are wearing the mask right now and who said she was immunocompromised was not wearing a mask when she walked in the building with a group. So it's hypocrisy. Over and over and over, just like this other nice lady said. It's hypocrisy.
I walked in with one person.
No, you had people all around you.
I did not. I agree with her. Ask her.
Excuse
We walked
me.
in. But she just lied about
Excuse
it.
me.
She lied.
Is there anyone else? You have an open forum.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, she called me fat and said I told her.
Are you kidding me?
Good evening, folks. It's good to see you in person today. My name is Andrew Wallace. I'm the president of Seacoast Education Association. I appreciate the chance to address the board tonight, and thank you for your work, as always, on behalf of the students and staff here at SAU 21. After performing so admirably last year, teachers and staff at Winnaconnet High School are very excited about the upcoming return to school and continuing to create success and joy in working with our students this year. We are all meeting today amidst both at a time of healing from a very challenging past school year and a rapidly evolving situation regarding the accelerated case counts of COVID-19's Delta variant. School boards, superintendents, families, and teachers are all monitoring these developments and are working together to provide the best educational and social-emotional opportunities for students while providing a safe and healthy environment for our students and our staff. Sadly, the current 7-day average of new cases in New Hampshire is 8 times what they were at this point last year. Let me be very clear. The cases that we see on the websites are new cases per day. They're not total cases per 2 weeks. New cases. The number of cases in children and resulting hospitalizations throughout the country has seen a very dramatic and troubling rise over the past month as well. Needless to say, as a community, we will again face dramatic challenges during the ongoing pandemic. Let us remember that these challenges are not insurmountable with planning, commitment, and teamwork, and that the health and safety of our students, families, and our community and our staff is not a political issue. Together, we can all ensure the continuity of in-person education and the social-emotional well-being of our students by adhering to the safety protocols recommended by the CDC, the AAAP, DHHS, and our own SAU 21. These protocols, like mask wearing and distancing, may be small, but essential practices that will prevent the spread of COVID-19 and keep students and teachers in school and safe. We all have a role to play in keeping our community, our SAU 21 families, safe. We mean it when we say we are all in this together. We remain in awe of the resilience that our staff, schools, and community displayed together this past school year, and we look forward to the continued success for our students at Winnaconnet. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for your efforts on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there anyone else? Hearing none? Then we'll move on. Thank you. We have the school goals, is that what?
Oh, can I ask one question about the reopening?
Sure, go right ahead.
Sorry. So I'm just curious, Mr. McGowan or Superintendent Nato, what is the plan for services for kids who are out on isolation or quarantine? Because that is likely to happen. 10 days is way too long to just be out of school with no plan for how those kids are gonna be educated. We did that with the Italy trip, and as a parent of a student who went on Italy, you know, it was not ideal. So I'm curious, what is the plan this year? Because there's no remote learning. You know, we're not doing the remote learning where last time they could just plug in like the hybrid kids would be home. So if you were on quarantine, you could just jump on like everybody else who was hybrid or at home that day. So what's the plan this year when they're out for 10 days?
We are working right now, I know the superintendent's working with the teachers as far as what that plan would look like, but we do understand that there may be students out, and how can we maintain that learning? So our goal is to be able to maintain that learning. We're just finalizing what that would look like.
Okay, so that's gonna get to the parents as to what that's gonna look like.
Any other board member? Tony, anything? Trish? Leslie?
Oh, all set, thanks.
Okay. So we're gonna move into, okay. Where is our guy? What kind of pride?
Can I go up or can I?
Way up.
So my name's Evan Parrish. I'm student body president at Winnaconnet, and I'm just gonna give an update. So last week we had our freshman orientation, fresh start. We just introduced the freshmen to Winnaconnet. This week preseason started for all sports, and this will go from this week and next week to determine who made which team and who got cut. And also yearbooks were handed out last week. And freshman first day is the 31st and 2 Tuesdays, and everyone else goes back that Wednesday. And we're looking forward to a new school year.
Thank you, sir.
Problem.
Just for people to know, we have a student on our school board. Usually he's sitting here.
Oh, is that my spot?
Usually he's with us, and again, he's a board member, and periodically we'll ask him for advice, or any of the student council representatives that we've had on our board. Sometimes we're in a situation where it's better to find out from the students what's going on, because they know. So, in many cases, they've given us advice, and we look at the advice that they give. But again, it's on a student perspective, and that's something that I personally don't have. But again, we think that our student representatives that come in, they update us on what's going on, and they meet at least once, or not twice, during the month with Mr. McGowan prior to our meeting. So it's kind of constant that we thank the students for being here. And again, thank you. Okay, the minutes, I guess. We're looking at minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of June 16th.
Any errors, omissions?
Henry?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Nicole?
I was
Abstained. And Tricia? Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. We've got the next item is bills.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of July 7th.
Second?
Henry?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Tricia? Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Now we'll be going to the reports, and superintendent's report
Sure.
is in our packet, but,
Yeah,
yep, go right ahead.
Okay. Last Thursday and Friday were our administrative retreat at the Seacoast Science Center, and it was a nice opportunity, I think, for administrators to gather in person for the first time in some time, and to be able to work together and plan for the upcoming year. You already heard from Evan about the upcoming Starter School for students. The staff get to come a little bit earlier, so our new teachers will be here next Monday, August 23rd, as well as the 24th. And you're invited to join us on the morning of the 23rd for coffee in the library, board members. And then everyone will be here on Wednesday, August 25th. And to allow for distancing, we'll be using the gymnasium for that space, so different from what was reported here. Breakfast is from 7:30 to 8:15, and again, board members are welcome to join us for that kickoff to the year. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, now we'll move on to, Bill. Mr. McGowan is our principal, and
Okay,
principal's report.
we had several summer programs this summer. We ran a summer school, and this year it actually increased. We had over 110 students, and we ran it so students could either catch up on missed work or failures, or also some enrichment opportunities. So it was a great success. I had students at the end of the program, they did not want to leave. The other thing, one of the programs that we do, we have a boat building class that students actually earn English credit as they build boats. This year, they built 2 paddleboards, so we will be selling those paddleboards. So if anybody needs a matching set of paddleboards, please see me. We also ran the Cedar Summit interesting bus trip up there, but they all got up there safely and returned. The Special Services Department also had a school year program, and that ended, actually it was during the Olympics, when the Olympics were going on, so they actually had an Olympics out here for those students. And we have a new sound system, so it was very easy for me to have a microphone out there so they could actually make announcements as the students competed. So it was great for the students. And then one of our students did graduate from the program as far as aging out of the high school, so we had a graduation ceremony here with him. And then Fresh Start, like Evan has said, it was last week, great success. And again, each year we have over 80–85% of the students come to that program. It's a volunteer program, but a lot of the students enjoy that. In addition to the incoming students, we also have about 60 to 70 upperclassmen that come and help out, and Evan was one of those students. So again, it's a great program, not only for the incoming students, but for our current students. With the pandemic, we've received a lot of funding opportunities through the CARES ESSA funding. Right now, we're in our third round, so it's kind of presenting to the school board a presentation as far as how we're going to spend some of that money. But for the CARES 1, we did a lot of things during the past school year for academic support for students. CARES 2 funding, which has been allocated, has provided some additional staff for the high school to deal with the social, emotional effects of the pandemic on students, and a lot of HVAC work. And then CARES 3 that we'll be talking about tonight is to extend some of those staffing positions and continue work with the heating and ventilation systems. Superintendent mentioned some of the events that happened with the staff here. Here at Winnaconnet High School, we met with consultants to discuss our competency work, and today we met with consultants to discuss how, as a staff, we can help students from trauma and the social emotional aspect. So we'll be working with those people throughout the year to improve the academic and the social programs for the students. Fall sports are underway. Everybody's out practicing. Practices started this week, so we have a good crew out there of students and coaches out there enjoying things. Staffing, I do have a list of the new staff members that we have. Right now, we're still looking for a long-term sub for math and a long-term sub for English. Both those teachers are out on maternity leave, but I expect by the time we come back to school, we'll be fully staffed. We started this meeting with donation, the public hearing for the donation from Hampton Academy, and later on we'll be voting on that. And we also have a donation of a reading machine that was donated by an individual, and then the boys volleyball boosters donated some money for that, so we'll be discussing donations shortly. And then with logos, we did refinish the gym floor this year and replace it with the W. And then what I have included are some of the other logos that we have used in the past and some of the future logos that we're looking to use. Actually, I'll just take my shirt off quick.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say.
But it is, pine trees recognizing where Winnaconnet comes from, beautiful place of pines. And the other one that we will be modifying is we have a W, but we're removing any imagery of the American Indians. And then there's also one that resembles what we have out front that has pine cones and pine needles. Actually, that idea came from a review of the 1962 yearbook where they actually had that. A lot of the sports teams are using that W, but, with the background as far as they show the soccer, they have a soccer ball in the background. So I just want to let you know that as we go ahead, some of the logo wear that we have will have some of the existing ones and also some of the new logos.
He's picking on me, I graduated in '62.
I didn't refer to that, sorry.
And he still has his yearbook.
And then we have the enrollments, and in spite of what the consultants say, the enrollment at Winnaconnet High School continues to increase. Right now, we're at 1,157 students. Last year, the October 1 report had 1,092 students. So clearly, students are coming to Winnaconnet High School, and we've had several students. Mrs. Cronin from the Director of Guidance this year. Over the last several weeks, we've had new registrations of students coming back to Winnaconnet High School. And that is all I have.
I think they enjoy the trip on the Cog Railway?
And actually, superintendent went with them, and they also
Great.
did the gondola, so superintendent joined them on that.
My great-great-grandfather built the Cog Railway. I just want you to know. Actually, Henry did. She already did that, so. But, as you can see, there's lots of things happening here at Winnaconnet, and happened through the summer as well. And, I was over here several times during the summer. Some of the students were here, and even though we had hot weather, rain, and this was a safe haven for lots of kids, and really a lot of learning going on, and I thank Mr. McGowan for that. And one quick thing is, there's a field going on.
The other thing, we did serve meals throughout the summer, breakfast and lunch. We provided that to the community, so that was very successful. And you can talk about baseball field? Is that what you're gonna talk about?
Oh, you can talk about it.
We are in the process of renovating the outfield of the baseball field, so that's on the process. And the plan was to have that completed before the fall, and I think that's our plan. So if you drive by that, the work is in progress. So again, we're just increasing the access to everybody, and making this place a great place for students.
Thank you. And we are at policies. Okay, this is the first read, is that correct? Or second?
These are second read and approval. These are the 74 policies that were reviewed by the joint board, and first read came, I don't remember what month. April?
Yeah, all the boards had first read on this previously.
Yes.
Over a period of time.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I can make a motion to approve the adoption of the 74 policies as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions on the policies? This is a procedure that we do periodically to review the policies. We just don't leave a policy in a book and nobody cares about it. But we review these policies, I guess this is like the third year now? Third year of review. There's a lot of policies, a lot of new policies, a lot of federal policies, as well as state. And so we update, and our policy book is not just helter-skelter and throwing a policy in. Everything is vetted through the SAU office, as well as the joint board and New Hampshire School Boards Association. So most of them have that caveat, the New Hampshire School Board. So
You ready for a vote?
we're ready.
Henry?
Yes.
Leslie? Yes. Tony?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Tricia? Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Bypass the. We had, again, in the same vein, every year that we do have an audit questionnaire, and our auditors come in, and they've been in a couple of weeks, and they go through literally everything, every bill that's paid, and our business office is busy because it encompasses all the communities, not just Winnaconnet, but specifically they do Winnaconnet because it's our budget. So, and work also with a budget committee. So, we have that questionnaire, and
I can speak briefly.
go right ahead.
Our business administrator, Matt Ferreira, is not here this evening, as it's his vacation time, lucky him. But he has included a copy of the questionnaire, and I guess I would ask if there's any additional board input or comments that you would like us to add to that, either this evening, or if you would like to send those to Matt and I, we'll make sure they're included. And then I think we'll be asking for the chair to sign that on behalf of the board.
Okay, that's fine. So if there's any other questions, you can shoot them to me or to Matt. And, so Matt will give me a call, and I'll go and sign it, and take care of that. And we got acceptance certificates, that's what we're
Yeah.
looking at. Hey, we have a gift, and Mr. McGowan, you.
So this evening, you've got, there's 3 gifts that we received. 2 require a vote because they're over $500, and the third one, I just need to bring it to your attention. The first one we discussed earlier this evening was the gift from Hampton Academy Trustees for a total of $16,350.
So I'll make a motion to accept the donation of $16,350 from the Hampton Academy Trustees for equipment.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Tony. Okay. Any other discussion? I want to thank the Hampton Academy trustees for the donation. It's quite a donation. And we're ready for vote.
Henry Marsh,
Yes.
Leslie LaFawn,
Yes.
Tony Delano,
Yes.
Nicole Seco,
Yes.
and Tricia O'Keefe. Yes. Motion passed.
Okay, the next gift is from Nathan Page, who has donated a reading machine for the visually impaired, and that's valued at about $900.
Motion to accept the donation from Nathan Page for visitor machine will be valued at $900.
I'll second that.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Henry,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
and Tricia. Yes. Motion passed.
And then the third gift is a donation from the parents of the boys volleyball team, who donated $250 to support the program, and that does not require any vote.
Thank you. The next one, I'd like to pass that off, so next it's the board. Next, we'll bring that up next week, next month, excuse me. And the funding proposal,
Bill included a presentation in your packet,
Yeah,
right?
so I'll briefly go through the
Okay.
presentation. As I mentioned earlier, there's been 3 rounds of funding through the pandemic. CAS 1, CAS 2, and CAS 3. CAS 3 is a continuation of what we're doing for CAS 2. So it includes facilities, HVAC upgrades and cleaning to provide better airflow and air quality throughout the building. And then staffing to continue to address the student academic needs and the social emotional needs.
just real quick, Bill, for people that were questioning on the air quality, that's been an ongoing process with us at the board level, and the school is what, 90% with air conditioning?
Correct. So right now, what some of this includes is the only main section of this building which is not air conditioned is the newest section of the building, which is the B wing. So the proposal is to bring AC units into that, because I'm sure some of you, the students and probably the parents, recall that we had a few warm days towards the end of the school year where it was very warm. So again, clearly, as we move forward, this funding that does allow that. If we don't do it now, it will be something that we will do on our HVAC recycling program. So it's something that but our goal is to do it a little bit earlier. So that's included in that. And then the other thing that we're looking to include is, we clean regularly the air ducts, but this time we would be cleaning all the air ducts at one point at the same time to maintain that. The other facilities item that we're taking a look at is a sonic wall device, and that will provide firewall and filtering services for the internet as we come in, and it will definitely support us as, if we do have to go to remote learning, expand remote learning opportunities. Since it is a COVID expense, we're looking to continue to provide the tents that we see outside the facilities. We've got 5 tents out behind the building here, and we also have 1 tent outside the dining hall, so students for lunch can go outside and use those, and classrooms can go outside. And then we have the HVAC upgrades. The other thing that we want to continue is the staffing that we have for CAS 2. We have filled that position for this year is a 504 adjustment counselor to work with the guidance office on those students that have 504 plans. And so we're going to continue that into the CAS 3. But then the following year, if you take a look, that will be going to the fiscal year 2023-2024 school year budget. We also are expanding the bridge program. We have the bridge coordinator to help those students academic at risk if they're either out of school for health issues or just general absences. How can we have those students come back into the building, provide support for them? That's funded right now through CAS 2, but we're looking to bring that into the 2022-2023 budget. Transition boot camp was very successful this summer for the special ed population. We're looking to continue that for next year. The alumni relations coordinator, this would be year 3. And what we did last year and did this year, we'll be reaching out to graduates, the seniors that graduated. Last year we did it to see how the pandemic affected them towards the end of their senior year. This year we want to follow to see how the students are doing because they've missed most of the year, whether it was remote learning coming back. And we want to see how the pandemic has affected them as they move into secondary education.